Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornblue, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
He's been a star for us. He's been solid year in and year out. You know you can always count on him. You know you can go to him. He's going to make a play. He's a tremendous leader. He is a true team player.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network on this Thursday night. That was the head man of the North Carolina Tar Heels, Larry Fedora, talking about his outstanding receiver, Quinshaw Davis, who gets another shot at the Clemson Tigers Saturday night in the ACC Championship game over in Charlotte. We'll have much more on that game for you tomorrow. Both head coaches will be meeting with the media in Charlotte. We'll have that covered for you on the website, sportstalksc.com, early in the afternoon, and, of course, on the show tomorrow night. We're coming to you tonight from one of our favorite places on earth. It is Seawells across from the State Fairgrounds in Columbia. It's the annual Palmetto Championship Awards night here in Columbia, where we will be recognizing some of the top high school football players and coaches from across the state. And as a bonus tonight, because of the rescheduling of the state championships, we're going to have the announcement tonight of Mr. Football in South Carolina. That will come after the Palmetto Champions Awards are handed out. We've got 5 finalists for that award. It could go to any of the 5. Really don't know who you would consider a favorite. Logan Bailey, Brian Edwards, Tavian Feaster, Colin Hill, John Simpson, all have had great seasons. All are very fine individuals, and we'll see later on who that is going to be. We'll put that out on Twitter as soon as it is announced tonight here in Columbia. K-Mac and the Professor Tom Hayes back at our studios in downtown Columbia. And things continue to churn, guys, as far as the South Carolina search. Now you've got Rich Rodriguez, you've got Sonny Dykes, and you've got who was the other one they threw out? Greg Schiano. All thrown into the mix.
Yeah. Wow, I don't think that made anybody in the Gamecock Nation necessarily feel any better. But Corn, it continues to seem like a lot of the smoke is coming out of the Will Muschamp camp right now, and in terms of his stock seems to be the highest right now. If anybody was going to wager a quarter on who the coach is going to be, I think most people would put their bits in on Coach Boone.
Mm-hmm. Well, supposedly, according to various reports, he's going to interview tomorrow with Ray Tanner. That's according to the USA Today college football coaching job reporter, who is at Woken, Dan Woken. And today, supposedly, Tanner was to interview the child prodigy from Oklahoma, the offensive guru out there, Lincoln Riley. I'm assuming that the interview took place. Again, this is all presumptive on the part of the media, saying that he is going to be or should be interviewing this individual. I'll share a little bit more from what I learned this afternoon with you coming up out of the break. And also, Sean Elliott is supposed to be here to present an award, and he's supposed to stop by and visit with us here on Sports Talk.
Calls are coming up on Sports Talk. Hit us up at 800-956-7266.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, presented by Future Scholar. South Carolina's 529 college savings plan. Future Scholar is the smart and easy way to save for your loved one's future college costs. And the holidays are a perfect time to invest. Visit futurescholar.com for more information. Future Scholar is administered by the Office of State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. If you want to jump on board the program, 800-956-7266. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com and on Twitter @sportstalksc. Lot to talk about. We will have our coordinators with us at the bottom of the hour. Can't wait to hear from them. Ellis Johnson and Chuck Reedy. A preview tonight coming up a little bit later on of Dillon and Newberry in the 2A Division I state championship game. That'll be on Friday night at Benedict College, the only game on Friday night at Benedict. The other 3 state championship games will be Saturday at Benedict. So tonight we'll preview Dillon and Newberry. Also, we hope to be talking to Sean Elliott when he arrives here at Seawells. He's presenting a special honor tonight. And so we have reached out to him, and he has reached back and said, okay, I'll stop by. So we'll try to tread water with a number of different things until he gets here, because I'd love to be able to talk with him. And let's see. From a Clemson, North Carolina standpoint, some Brent Venables tonight, the Clemson defensive coordinator. Boys, he had his hands full getting ready for that North Carolina offense. All right, let's talk about a couple of things. The South Carolina coaching search today. Again, Bruce Feldman from Fox Sports reported that Rich Rodriguez at Arizona, the former Clemson offensive coordinator, the former West Virginia head coach, the former Michigan head coach, is going to meet with Ray Tanner. He also reports former Rutgers coach Greg Schiano and current Cal coach Sonny Dykes are expected to be interviewed by Tanner as well. Now, today, according to various and sundry reports, Tanner was to interview Lincoln Riley, the offensive coordinator from Oklahoma. J.C. Sherbert of the Big Spur reported that Riley and Tanner were going to meet today. Will Muschamp, his interview, according to Dan Wolken of USA Today, is to take place on Friday. And K-Mac, you had a note regarding Muschamp?
2 reports out of Alabama. Will Muschamp is not expected to be back as the Tigers defensive coordinator. That doesn't necessarily mean anything definitive for USC. As we all know, Kirby Smart would love to have Muschamp running his defense at Georgia, and that's a very distinct possibility, as has been mentioned before. And there's even been talk of Alabama making a run at him. But what it does appear very clear right now is wherever Will Muschamp is next season, it won't be on the Plains again.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, in speaking with the contact this afternoon, something was kind of explained to me, which makes a good deal of sense. You know, there's been if you follow folks on Twitter, on the internet, which is a very dangerous thing to do, but it's unavoidable sometimes. I mean, you cannot – it's sort of like the fans for the at the NFL draft. No matter who's drafted, especially if you're a Jets fan, they're going to boo them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no matter what name floats out there, you got a group of people that just don't like him. Lincoln Riley, he's too young. Will Muschamp couldn't win at Florida with all that talent. They find something wrong with each and every guy, okay? That's just going to be the way it is. But from what was explained to me, Tanner was not going to start interviewing until Sunday. He was waiting for this weekend and the championship games to play out. Smart and Herman were clearly the top 2 on his list. Now, and he wanted to get to those 2 guys in person, knowing that in all likelihood they would be tied up through this coming weekend. Smart getting Rick getting fired, I don't think, that could be foreseen really by anybody. Don't think it was foreseen by him. And of course, that opened up the door for Smart to Georgia. That sort of threw a curve into the works and has sped up his process. This whole time, he's been doing his background work. The search firm has been doing all its background work and making the contacts and talking to the people and finding out who's interested, who's not, who he can talk to at the right time, et cetera, et cetera. So what I'm getting at here, the people who've been out there saying, what's Ray waiting on? Why has he not hired his coach yet? Well, he's following, from what I'm told, he's following the plan that he drew up when this all started. And he's gotten off of it a little bit now because he's obviously he interviewed Sean Elliott yesterday, reportedly interviewing others. So he started the process a little bit more. But what I'm getting at here, again, I still believe he's going to interview Tom Herman before all this is said and done. Now, whether or not Herman wants to come remains to be seen. But I still have a pretty strong inclination that is going to happen sometime after he wraps up his season on Saturday. So that's why I don't think that there'll be an announcement of a coach before Sunday or Monday at the earliest, based on what I'm hearing here late this afternoon. And I'm not saying anything else is window dressing. I'm not saying he's not serious about Muschamp. I'm not saying he's not serious about Sean Elliott or anybody else that he's talking to. But I think that Herman and Smart were clearly 1A, 1B, however you want to align them on his list. Smart's gone. Apparently there must still be a window of opportunity there to talk to Herman. And I think he's going to try and get that done before he closes the book on this search and makes a definite hire. That's just what I'm hearing this afternoon. So now we'll see how it plays out, but I think that's going to be the case. What else is going on? K-Mac, got anything else you want to add?
That's the highlights. I mean, there are the conflicting things. Tom Herman, I know people are still holding the door open and everybody thinks there's ace up the hole, and could be the case. And Corn, and you're hearing things. The stuff that I've heard, there seems like it's getting close to being over. Obviously, it is being close to getting over. I don't think Ray Tanner's panicking as much as some people think. I know there are a lot of Gamecock fans out there that have been following this via social media and message boards. And look, coaching searches are crazy. All these names get put out there. Agents put people's name out there, and you hear things like Greg Schiano. I can pretty confidently say, Corn, that Greg Schiano is not going to be the next coach at the University of South Carolina. But people panic when they see that. Like, well, what's Ray Tanner doing? This guy's striking out with everybody. It's just the nature of the beast. And it's not the process you need to be worried about. It's just the end result. And wait until you see who Ray Tanner hires. And you also would like to think that Ray Tanner has a pretty good feel for what it takes to be a successful head coach and a guy that's going to be able to successfully run a program at the University of South Carolina and get the dynamics of the University of South Carolina. There's a reason why they didn't go hard after Fuente. He didn't think that was a fit for the University of South Carolina. They didn't even make a run at Fuente. So, yeah, Virginia Tech was the right place for him.
The key point is I think Fuente put out the feeling that he's a lot like Spurrier. If a guy's a top 10 recruit and I don't like his attitude or whatever, I'm not recruiting him. I'll recruit the guys I want to recruit. And I think that kind of maybe turned off some people. But I will say this. A lot of fans are looking at this like it's a Black Friday sale. Every school is grabbing a coach off the shelf before we can even get there to see what's left on the sales floor. And it doesn't work that way. You got to find the guy that's comfortable for you. I mean, Southern California could have been looking around. They thought they had a guy right there they're comfortable with. He was the interim coach. He won the Pac-12 South, and they're in the championship game against Stanford, so they signed him. I mean, it's the key coin that you got to find the right fit, and it'll be interesting to see how he does it.
One thing here about Lincoln Riley, is today December 3rd? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, at 11:18 this morning, he was pictured in the home. Looks like he's in the home of a couple of recruits. So I don't know if he went to meet with Ray Tanner after that or not, but he was recruiting today for Oklahoma. Back we are, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, coming up December 12th in Myrtle Beach, the 2015 Touchstone Energy Cooperatives North-South All-Star Game. 88 of South Carolina's top high school football players will be there for you to watch in person. They go head-to-head for the honor of Best in State. Get your tickets now at northsouthallstarfootball.com. Joining me right now from the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives, our good friend Mark Quinn, who not only is involved in the game, but also involved tonight, Mark, in presenting Mr. Football for 2015.
Yeah, so, the last couple of years, we've had the 5 finalists come to the game, and we've awarded Mr. Football during halftime in the North-South game. Well, of course, with the floods this year, moving the 3A and 4A games to the 12th, some of those kids would not be able to make it. So this was the perfect alternative venue. This is a great event. We love to support the Palmetto champions. And had the 5 here tonight adds a little spice to this event. We wish we could have them in Myrtle Beach, but still, we've got a great group of finalists. These 5 kids are absolutely outstanding.
You're exactly right, on and off the field. This looks like a group of guys who get it when it comes to the concept of being a leader, being a captain of their team, and also getting their work done on the football field.
I'm involved in some of these meetings, not when they get down to selections, but when you hear Coach Richardson and you hear Coach Sheldula talk about what they're looking for, their directive to the staffs is just say, don't give us any knuckleheads. They just don't want any guys making any bad headlines.
Right.
So you want guys with character. All of these young men have that. And you're right, those leadership qualities, that hard work, that integrity, those are things that we value at Cooperatives. So what a great thing for us to be able to sponsor.
Touchstone Energy and the relationship between the coaches and the All-Star game and now this, that's a great marriage for everybody.
It really has been a great win for all of our cooperatives around the state. We've been presenting trophies to the kids who've been selected to the All-Star game during pregame ceremonies over the last couple of weekends before football games. We support education initiatives all across the state, and this is another way to support education. These kids have worked hard, they're dedicated, they're passionate about what they do, and it's not just the kids, Phil, it's the coaches as well. We support teachers, football coaches, or educators in every sense of the word, and to be able to support these guys and what they do, this mission is critical. The money raised by this game goes to fund scholarships for kids of coaches in South Carolina. What better purpose?
Absolutely. We are looking forward to next week. I looked ahead. The weather looks like it's going to be good.
It's not going to be freezing, right?
I think we're going to catch a break this year. So we look forward to being with you, and we look forward to the game, and we look forward to the announcement tonight. You got an idea who it is? Anybody sneak it to you?
I might have an idea, but no,
keep it to yourself.
Keep
it to yourself.
They're
keep
all
us in
great.
suspense.
I'm just going to keep saying they're all great finalists.
They really are. Can't go wrong.
And that's no joke.
Yeah. Thank you, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Good seeing you.
Good to see you.
All right. Mark Quinn from Touchstone Energy Cooperatives with us here on Sports Talk. We're at Seawells. It's a big night. We got the Palmetto Champions Awards going out. On our website tonight, when it's all done, I will put out the winners of the awards, and also, of course, we'll put out on Twitter and on the website the winner of Mr. Football. We'll do an interview with the winner of Mr. Football as well. So we'll have that for you on the website, and you can hear from that individual. Who do you think it's going to be? I don't know. I have a hard time. I'm a skill position guy. I have a hard time not going with Tavian Feaster. Guy's been great for 4 years in high school football. He's a leader of that Spartanburg high school football team. It could be any of them, but that would be my pick sitting here right now. Back with our coordinators in just a moment.
up with sports news all day on Twitter at SportsTalkSC. Now back to Sports Talk with Korn, K-Mac, and the Pro.
We're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornblut at Seawells. Big night here at Seawells, the Palmetto Champion Awards dinner and the presentation of Mr. Football for 2015, all coming up later on tonight. Right now, though, we get into the most important segment of the week here on Sports Talk. It's our segment with our coordinators. It'll be our last one. Maybe we'll bring them back during bowl season around playoff time. How about that? Ellis Johnson and Chuck Reedy. We welcome the two of them to Sports Talk. Happy holidays to you. Chuck, how are you?
Doing great, Phil. Thank you very much.
Good to have you with us. Eli, hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and thank you for being with us, sir.
It was. Thanks for asking, and good to be back.
All right, one more go around. Let's look back at Saturday. Chuck, anything surprise you in the Clemson-Carolina game on Saturday?
No, not really. We expected that South Carolina would play with some emotion, and I thought they played about as well as they could play. Had some opportunities in the first half with some turnovers, and just couldn't get any points out of that. But they kept fighting and made it a game in the second half. And but Clemson's they're too talented. They're too good. I mean, anytime. Even with the turnovers, I mean, as we talked about before, it didn't faze them. They just came right back, and when they needed to score, they scored, and it didn't take them long to score when they needed to.
Ellis, the Tigers' performance against the Gamecocks, how did you view it, and how does that translate in your mind to what's ahead for them against North Carolina Saturday night?
Well, I think, obviously I agree with everything Chuck said. They're such a good football team right now. They're overcoming a turnover ratio issue, and whether it's just a lack of focus or coincidence or whatever, they've got to cut back on the turnovers, I think, to play these next quality teams they're playing. It's just a tremendous difference in the two quarterbacks. But I think, Clemson didn't have to rely on Watson this game to run the ball. Gallman, I think, might have had over 100, but for the third game in a row, the quarterback's the leading rusher, and some of those games that's because he had to be. And then I just think the final thing, Carolina had some really good opportunities, and the quarterback had a bad first half and couldn't make plays. So they'll play some quarterbacks that can make plays down the road.
Mm-hmm. Chuck, running Deshaun Watson 21 times, that was a career high. He had a season high in rushing yards, if my memory serves me right. But Dabo doesn't make any excuses for running him. I mean, that's a big part of their offense. So he's healthy, and he can do it. So you have any qualms with running the quarterback that much?
No, this time of the year, you do what if he has to carry it 40 times. That's what you do. You don't worry about it. When you get into the final stretch, and obviously when they get into the championship game and the playoffs. You do what you have to do to win. And, you're not worrying about how many times he carries the ball or whatever. You do, like I said, whatever it takes to win the game. You got to do it. And he's he's the added dimension. I mean, obviously Gallman is a very good back, but then when you put Watson in there, rushing for 100+ yards, along with Coleman. I mean, then you've got a heck of a running attack as well as being able to throw the ball. So, it's, they're right now they got it going pretty good.
That they do. Now, Ellis, even though they beat the Gamecocks, they gave up some big plays, runs, some throws, some chunk yardage plays against South Carolina, which we all know their offense is not considered to be explosive at all. Now, they're going to be facing a team in North Carolina which is incredibly explosive. I mean, they may have had more big plays of 20 yards or more than anybody in the country. They make a living off of that. What is Clemson stepping into something here kind of dangerous because of the issues they've had from time to time with the big plays?
I don't think it's in question they're going to play a better football team or potentially more dangerous football team. They've had breakaway runs now for 5 weeks in a row, and I think Brent Reynolds has done an unbelievable job with this team because I don't think they're nearly as talented, and I know they're not as deep as they have been. And he's just done a remarkable job. Statistically, they look like one of the best 5 teams in the country, but I don't know if they're one of the best 20 teams in the country or 30 teams in the country on their roster on that side of the ball. And I think he deserves a lot of credit. Tremendous secondary, and I think the front can be a little bit disruptive, but the linebackers don't have much backup help, and they're making a lot of plays, but he's setting them up where they do make the plays. So, I think it's going to get a little tougher, but, they again may be the most balanced team in the whole deal.
Mm-hmm. Chuck, what do you expect Larry Fedora and North Carolina to do offensively against Clemson? Anything out of the norm for them, or will they attack Clemson the way that they have gone through the 11 opponents they've defeated in a row since losing to the Gamecocks?
Yeah, they'll do what they do, but they're going to be more balanced probably than anybody that Clemson has played. Hood is a heck of a running back. I think he's very, very underestimated. And he's getting more and more involved, and they've got TJ Logan. They've got 2 good running backs. The quarterback can run, and, they've got excellent speed on the outside. They've got some big receivers. They've got some height out there as well. And, I think it'll depend on how Marquise Williams plays. He's played very, very well of late. Obviously, he, had an awful game against Carolina, but certainly that was, out of the norm for him. But, no, they're going to do what they do. And, and they'll be the best offensive team that Clemson's played all year, I think.
All right, quickly before we lose you guys, let's jump on the search. Ellis, what do you think about how things are developing at USC with the search?
Well, I'm not going to comment on any candidates because I just tried to contact some of them and had dialogue with some of them. So the general process, I think Ray's done an excellent job. The one thing I'll say, it started so early that I think that the media and therefore the fan base got out front of the process. And whether Ray could have cut that off or not, I don't guess he could have, but I think they were under an assumption that they had a bunch of candidates lined up, and he wasn't able to actually start the hiring process any earlier than anybody else did. He was just able to start his vetting process and his communications through third parties. And I think until you sat down and made your personal interview, I don't think you're across the threshold yet. So I see a lot of people out and frustrated or whatever, or thought we're going to get this guy, that guy, whatever. But I think he's handling the process. He always said it was going to be December the 10th. He said that today at the press conference when Steve's press conference. So I think he's right in his process. A lot of great coaches out there he can still hire. I'm sure he'll do a good job and hire one.
Mm-hmm. Chuck, you echo those sentiments?
I think that I don't know why December 10th or 12th, whatever it is, was the date. They had 7 weeks. I would have liked to have thought that, they would either have had someone in place this week, or certainly if it's somebody that's, in a conference championship game, have somebody at the end of the first of next week. And I know, 1 or 2 weeks doesn't sound like a lot, but, they need to get out. They need to get somebody in place and get out and start recruiting, because they've got to recruit. And, it's going to be tough enough as it is. And, it's going to take a while to get a staff in place and all of that. So I think every day that's wasted is a day that they're never going to get back, obviously. And they need every day they can get on the road.
Guys, we can't thank you enough for being with us once again. Have a great holiday season, and we will ring you up for a conversation before the bowl games. Of course, Ellis, if you're coaching somewhere, we won't bother you because you'll be out recruiting. But, Chuck, we know you're not going to be coaching anywhere, so we know we can call you. Our coordinators here on Sports Talk, Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson. And when we come back, the interim head coach at South Carolina, he still is, Sean Elliott, he'll join us here on Sports Talk at Seawells. Be right back.
These guys, they never sleep. Check them out on the web at sportstalksc.com. Now, more of Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Okay, we're back at Sports Talk or at Sewell's big awards night here, but right now we are joined by the interim football coach at South Carolina, Sean Elliott, and thank you so much for coming by and visiting with us. And I don't know, we're going to take that interim tag off at some point and just call you a head coach.
Let's do it. I'm ready today, tonight. You call me at 3 a.m., I'm ready.
You're ready to do that, huh?
I am.
How was the interview yesterday?
It went very well. Spent some time together, shared some interest, some things that both he and I needed to share, but it went well.
You feel like it put you in a good position with him as far as you could tell?
As far as I know.
Yeah.
He didn't kick me out of the door, so
right.
Felt pretty positive leaving.
Raise his eyebrows about anything? I mean, did you present him with anything totally different from what he saw during your games as the interim head coach?
Certainly I did.
Yeah. And some of those would be?
Not something to share with you there, Phil. But, there's a lot of things presented in that meeting. There's a lot of things you can't share on the radio here, of course. But it was a very well-informative meeting for both he and I enjoyed it. And then when I walked out of there, I felt very positive about it.
I was going to ask you that. Coming out, did you feel better than you did going in, or about the same, or less confident?
Listen, you got to understand, I'm a pretty confident guy.
Yeah.
So going in, I was very confident. Coming out, I was very confident. And that's the only way you can be if you're going after something that you love and you have a great interest in and pride and passion. Then I felt the same way. I mean, I was ready to go after going in, and coming out, I felt the exact same way.
Very good. He give you any indication about where he's moving from here, how quickly he wants to get this thing done?
No, not at all. Not at all. And I respect that for him to do his due diligence and understand this is an important hire. It's for the University of South Carolina. It's a football program. It's Gamecock fan base for everyone. It's the great state of South Carolina. So I applaud him for taking this time and doing everything in his power to make sure this is the right hire for the University of South Carolina.
As you reflect on your time as interim coach, is there anything you would have done differently now that you've had a chance to kind of sit back and look?
There's a few things, nothing really pinpoint right now to you, but, there's some things I could have done better, some things early on that I wish I would have done and made maybe a change here and there. But overall, I think we went and we did about as good of a job as we could have done with the situation we were presented.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about everything that was thrown at you, to get the guys to play hard practically every week. Did you think they played hard every week? And of course, I've got the Citadel game in my mind. Not to take anything away from them, but that was it's an FCS opponent at your place, and you have so many advantages over those teams.
I just really felt, we'd been so close. We beat Vanderbilt, and then you go A&M, Tennessee, and then come back and almost defeat Florida right there at the very end, and they hit that long touchdown run on us, or right to the one. Mm-hmm. I felt after that game we were a little deflated. Not defeated, but deflated, and I could sense it in our football team, and that's hard for so many guys that we had really pushed hard for those 3 or 4 weeks right there to pull out a win, and the wins didn't come. I felt there was a little bit of God, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? And I don't fault their effort in any game we play because they fought to the very end, and I'm very proud of that football team for doing that.
Yeah, what did you think of the effort last weekend against Clemson?
I thought it was everything I expected from them. Yeah. I knew it was there. I knew our players had a great mindset. They had a great focus. You could look in a guy's eye and understand exactly what they were going to accomplish. We knew it was a tall task, but we also knew with a couple breaks, we were going to be right there in the end. And I tell you, I expected, and people don't understand that, but I expected to go win. I expected to win. And that's hard for people to understand. Our players expected to win. That's hard for you to understand, but we did. We did. And a team doesn't fight to the very last second, not expecting to win. Even with how it all went down to the last very second. I said, we're going to kick the onside. They're going to get a penalty, and we're going to have a last chance throw if we recover it.
Right.
And that's how we were. I told
you with 1 second to go.
I said, there's going to be a defensive penalty right there. We're going to recover the fumble, and we're going to get the throw. So don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. And they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't. And, other than winning the football game, and that was a disappointment, I can't tell you the effort and the enthusiasm and the pride that they played with, and just so pleased to have been the interim head coach for them when I walked off that field. I mean, their heads held high, give it everything they had, and there's more of that to come.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much more of that to come.
Mm-hmm. If you're the head coach, what would you foresee? So you know your personnel and you know what's coming in and you know what you're recruiting. I mean, if you're the head coach in 2016, will South Carolina be back as one of the best in the East?
Well, I don't know. You got to go through an off season. You got to go through a weight training. You got to go through conditioning. You've got to go through a spring practice. You've got to reevaluate players. You've got to see some changes. There may be some changes in coaches, personnel. There may be changes in scheme. What I do know is we've got a lot of great young men in that locker room, and that's important to build upon, and we'll move forward.
All right, let me hold you for 1 second, if I may. Quick break. We'll come right back. A couple of more minutes with Sean Elliott here on Sports Talk. All right, just a couple more minutes with Sean Elliott before he has to leave. Of course, he can't do anything without me because I'm the MC tonight.
There you go.
So you're not presenting anything till I get there.
Better do a good job.
Well, I'll just say my little bit and get out of the way.
I don't know. I've been here once or twice.
Oh, have you really?
Yeah, you like to hear yourself talk. Come on.
I'm keeping it short tonight because quiet Packers are playing tonight against the Lions. I got to get home. We're going to keep this thing short. We're going to keep it moving.
That would be great.
I'm going to get out of here. Anyway, back to you. I want to go back to Sean Elliott, head coach in 2016. Your vision of, whatever changes you make, personnel, I get all that. But your vision of what you would look like offensively, just schematically speaking.
Well, that you gotta have a signing class, and that signing class has got to come in. You've got to evaluate those guys, see what guys can play early. And if you saw us this past year, we need some players to play early to come out there and make a difference. A lot of positions that are, I would say, open.
Yeah.
That can certainly come in there and make a difference. So, it's hard to really sit here and tell you exactly the makeup or kind of the schematic of what we will see in 2016. But it will be so exciting. And if I was a young man and I was sitting out there in a living room and I was listening to this right now, I'd be like, listen, I can make a difference. I can make a difference today, next week. I can do it early, spring. God, I can be playing right there, 85,000 strong, making a difference in the SEC and making a difference for the Gamecocks. It's a great message to sell. It's an exciting message.
Is that what you're selling?
I don't have to sell it.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
Yeah. What are you and the staff telling recruits right now?
Well, you know, I think
Because they're wondering who's going to be there.
I can't tell them anything but what our great institution has to offer. The University of South Carolina, our administration, Ray Tanner, his focus, his future, what he has in store for us in the Gamecock football program, and our athletics, our academics, and everything in general. It's a great sell. And when I say sell, you don't have to sell it. And I say that all the time. But our institution, our academic background, our university, Harris Pastides, it's first class. It's first class. So I'm just saying, hey, listen, take a look at the obvious. Go out, investigate the obvious. Because in college football these days, the chances of 4 or 5 years of a head coach being there, it's rare odds these days. So make sure you go to the school of choice because you want to go to that school. You enjoy the social environment, academics, and athletics. And let's go from there.
Quickly, Connor Mitch, has he told you what his plans are?
No. I mean, Connor Mitch is ready to go with us.
You expect him to be with you?
As far as I know.
Okay.
As far as I know,
Okay.
yeah.
Why didn't he play once he got healthy?
Yeah, he wasn't the best to play at that position. Preparation is key, and we just felt that Orth and then Nunez, when he was able to get in there and run around, that it gave us a good option. And Connor's, he needs to get back to that confidence level that he had going into the North Carolina game. Connor's a great young man with a tremendous future ahead of him, strong-willed individual, but he's got to get that confidence and that look back in his eye that he can go out and lead to victory.
We thank you very much. Enjoy tonight, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you very much. Sean Elliott here on Sports Talk.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Okay, back with you, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network at Seawells tonight. Great place to be. Give a shout out to our friends at Seawells. If you need a place to host your holiday party or maybe a wedding or whatever the case may be that's important in your life, that's happy. This is a place for happiness. Give Seawells a call. They'll come to your location, or you can host it here at their beautiful facility across from the state fairgrounds. Seawells, best in the business, hands down. All right, to recruiting. You know, Reggie Anderson from News 19 in Columbia is here, K-Mac, and I was telling him, he had Mark Quinn on with us, and Mark's an old TV sports guy, and I told Reggie, I said, Mark Quinn's been gone from television for 15 years, and he still has better ratings than you do on a nightly basis.
That's just mean. That's just terrible.
What's really funny is Reggie is going in to MC the officials' Christmas party banquet they're having tonight. So we're talking about a one-eyed guy going in to talk to a bunch of officials who operate with one eye. You know what I mean?
Man,
goodness. Pay the man, Shirley.
That's all you need.
Hey-oh. Rim shot.
They got the replay now. That's all you need.
All right, to the recruiting report now. Rashawn Smith, defensive end, Baltimore, IMG Academy in Florida, wants a Clemson commitment. He decided to take other officials, so he decommitted August 6th. He has since taken officials to Oregon, LSU, Auburn. He was scheduled for Maryland this weekend, but his coach, Kevin Wright, said he is taking the SAT or the ACT Saturday and didn't think he was going on the visit this weekend. Clemson is scheduled for next weekend. The coach said that the kid has handled everything with great class and dignity. He's a great teammate, a great captain. He's trying not to let the pressure get to him and all that. Smith will play in the Under Armour game in January and will announce on January 2nd. His coach feels he does have an idea about where he wants to go and play. He's graduating early, too, so he'll be enrolling in January. He says he's done his homework, and when he feels good about the decision, he will make it. The coach believes he has narrowed his list in his mind to a smaller number than the 5, but he said his player has not shared the information with him. Also, we have why did I put that story in there twice? Hang on, I got to go back and do something here.
This is what Korn does with these recruiting reports. I get him when I'm on vacation. You just send me the same 5 stories.
Brandon McElwain.
There he is.
Brandon McElwain, quarterback, USC commitment, Newtown, PA. Met with G.A. Mangus on Monday, met with the Penn State quarterback's coach yesterday. Said the visit with Mangus went great, really enjoyed it. Got to hear a lot from him about what's ahead possibly. He said he hasn't been following the coaching search all that closely. He said a big thing to him is having Mangus on the staff, but it's not a deal breaker, but it is something that's important to him. As far as pro baseball, again, he says an excellent opportunity, something that he'll have to look at because of what that opportunity is, but he's been committed to USC for so long. He senses there's a great opportunity for him at USC. Bottom line, still committed to USC, but has to wait and see how things play out. And we're back, Sports Talk. Bill Cornbluth at Seawells. Palmetto Champions Dinner coming up tonight. Mr. Football Awards announcement coming up tonight as well. I'll be leaving here in about 10 minutes or so. Let me do the high school football report. Service of Farm Bureau Insurance. With new auto insurance rates from Farm Bureau, you could be saving a whole lot of money, even if you received a quote before. Rates are now more competitive than ever. And get a free quote today from your local Farm Bureau insurance agent. Here are the finalists for the Palmetto Awards tonight, Palmetto Champions Awards. The lineman of the year, John Tez Littleton from Gaffney, John Simpson from Fort Dorchester. That's in the Big 16. In 4A, it's Chris McCarthy from Westwood and Javon Kinlaw from Goose Creek. In 3A, Kate Stewart of Daniel and Mason Ray of Swansea. In 2A, Jaseri Caldwell of Newberry and Jabari Ellis of Lake Marion. In 1A, Zach Epting of Christ Church and Malcolm Garrett from Cross. Your backs of the year. In the Big 16, Colin Hill from Dorman and Bailey Hart from Wando. In 4A, Austin Scott from Spartanburg and Brian Edwards from Conway. In 3A, Logan Bailey from Chapin and Brandon Sinclair from Myrtle Beach. In 2A, Terrence Wilson from Batesburg-Leesville and Deshaun Davis of Dillon. In 1A, Jordan Fair from McBee and Isaiah Odom from C.E. Murray. The specialists of the year. In the Big 16, R.J. Bacon from Spring Valley. In 4A, Christian Kinsley from Lexington. In 3A, Matthew Gravely from Pickens. And in 1A, Julian Mina from Christ Church. There was no selection in 2A. And your coaches of the year in the Big 16, Greg Porter Hillcrest, Kenny Walker of Ashley Ridge. In 4A, Chris Miller from Spartanburg and Josh Stepp from Lexington. In 3A, Will Young from Greer, B.J. Payne from Hilton Head. In 2A, Antoine Hillary from Strom Thurmond, Chris Carter from Lake Marion. In 1A, Bill Kimry from Calhoun County, and Brian Smith from C.E. Murray. Those are the finalists for that and the finalists for Mr. Football this year. Just to remind you, Logan Bailey from Chapin, Brian Edwards from Conway, Tavian Feaster from Spartanburg, Colin Hill from Dorman, and John Simpson from Fort Dorchester. And there you go with all that. And that is our high school football report here tonight on Sports Talk. Let's see. Brent Venables came back. He is getting ready for North Carolina. He's not getting ready for North Carolina.
Well, he is getting ready.
Why is he not getting ready for North Carolina?
He better be getting ready for North Carolina. He better be.
Yeah.
No, we're going to go with a little Jordan Leggett.
Oh.
Mackey Award finalist, Tigers tight end. We're going to go a little offense. We're going to get a little offense here.
So you called an audible on me.
Called an audible. Yeah, we're going to let Brent Venables get a little more time to get ready for Marquise Williams.
What happens? You know what a coach does when his quarterback changes plays on him without permission?
It better work, and it will. I caught up with Jordan Leggett Corn earlier this week to talk about the matchup with the Tar Heels and getting ready for an ACC championship and a potential bid to the college football playoff.
ACC championship game. I mean, it's got to be a special feel. Regular season's over and playing for a championship Saturday.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. All the hard work goes into these type of games, this championship. So we're gonna be excited. We haven't won one in a while, and hopefully we get the W and we get the win on Saturday.
It is a championship game. I know you guys take a business as usual approach, but is it a little different being what's on the line and what you're playing for?
Definitely, just because it's such a big game and it decides whether or not we make it in the playoffs. It definitely settles with you a little differently. So I'm definitely going to try my best at practice, as well as I hope the other guys do as well. And we're just going to try to go out there and just get the job done on Saturday.
How familiar are you with North Carolina?
I played them last year, but it was under a whole other defensive coordinator. So it's kind of changed up a little bit. but it looks like they're trying to resort to a little bit more man-to-man and let their athletes play. And we're just – I mean, to me, I like man-to-man games just because it's like more of a matchup type thing. And I think it's going to be real fun for this offense. I hope we get to put up a lot of points, and I hope a lot of people get to touch the ball. So
that excites you? It could be a shootout type of game.
Definitely. We know in every game that we go into, we're going to try to put up as many points as we can and try to ease the defense, calm the defense down, knowing that we're going to score no matter what kind of thing. So it's definitely been crazy. It's going to be fun to watch their offense as well, just being so high-powered like ours. But it's definitely going to be a fun, up-tempo, high-scoring game.
Deshaun Watson's getting mentioned a lot more now for the Heisman Trophy. Do you keep up with that Heisman race at all, and where do you think Deshaun stacks up?
I've definitely seen a lot of it. I watch both guys. I'm a big Derrick Henry fan, just him being so young, and also Deshaun. But it's definitely be a close race, but we'll just see how it goes at the end of the season.
Top 10 matchup in the ACC championship game. I know the ACC doesn't get a lot of respect sometimes, but this is a huge matchup. What does it say for the conference?
It says a lot just to have just two great teams battle it out for the ACC championship. I know if we happen to lose, North Carolina might have a shot at the Final Four. So either way, the ACC is going to make its mark on this season. So I'm excited.
Do you allow yourself to peek ahead and think about that Final Four and what that might mean for the program?
It'll definitely mean a lot for this program, just going undefeated and just following our way all the way into the football playoffs. And it's definitely going to be special, and it's going to change a lot of lives. And it's just going to be exciting to make history.
Dabo says there's going to be a pizza party here on Sunday, win or lose. Are you looking forward to chowing down on some pizza?
It's definitely going to be fun, win or lose. Even if we do lose, the fans are going to be there to encourage us. So it's going to be fun either way. It's going to be fun to see everybody so excited at what we've done.
Have you had a chance? I know it's probably kind of a blur. You're 12-0. You went through the regular season undefeated. Do you take a moment to savor that, or is that something you have to do after the fact when it's all over?
You definitely have a little bit of time to just have fun with it. But other than that, it's just straight back to business because we had a game this week. So it's hard to have fun during the season, but afterwards, I know we're going to have a blast and celebrate.
All right, Jordan Leggett, one of Clemson's outstanding players. What a year he's had for the Tigers, and I don't see why he won't be able to play at the next level and make some money. He is a very athletic, down the field tight end who can make big plays with his hands and his speed. I guess the blocking, don't know how much he was called on to block this year. It didn't really strike me as being a guy asked to do a whole lot of blocking, but he can sure catch it and get down the field with it, guys. And you put him down the seam against the zone defense, he makes big plays.
Well, he's going to be, I think, the key weapon on Saturday night. I just think that, North Carolina, any defense right now is so catered to the spread that you don't think of the tight end that much. And him coming down the seam, as you said, I suspect that he'll have 6 or 7 catches on Saturday night.
Here's an injury note out of North Carolina. Their safety, Sam Smiley, will not play in the ACC championship game. He won't play again this season. He tore his Achilles against NC State. That was confirmed about 15 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
So he is out.
I think this is going to be. I hate to see that for North Carolina. I think it's going to be a heck of a ball game. Both of these teams. It's no matter how good the defenses happen to be, both of these offenses are so good they can score on anybody. Now, Clemson defensively in the secondary, they've got speed that can match up with North Carolina's fast guys. One of the concerns that I've heard from people, though, is about Clemson's linebackers and speed there and having trouble in coverage at that position. And we'll see if North Carolina attempts to take advantage of that. I haven't seen that kind of problem with Goodson and Boulware myself.
Well,
I don't look at it with an educated eye.
Boulware wears number 10. And number 10 at Bank of America Stadium, the last time Marquise Williams played there, that could be a factor. Sky Moore with those That's what Clemson just get Sky Moore fatheads and put them in each end zone.
Well, the key point to this one is the susceptibility of a linebacker who's tired or they play over is the wheel route. Watch North Carolina, and I know Brent Venables will talk to them about that. Elijah Hood coming out of that backfield.
All right, guys, I'm going to leave it with you. Let you take it home the rest of the way, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Sports Talk continues here. We actually have a couple of minutes before at the bottom of the hour. We're going to have Charleston Southern's Jamie Chadwell on. But if you want to reach out and grab a line, we'll try to squeeze in a few calls here. We've been very busy. Sean Elliott joining us in hour number 1, so we can get your reaction to that. 800-956-7266 is the toll-free number. And my reaction to Sean Elliott is probably what a lot of other people's is, and that's Sean Elliott's first-class guy, and has done really a first-class job given the situation that he was put in. There are a lot of issues that aren't his doing that he had to deal with that were going to be impossible almost to overcome, but he had the Gamecocks, for better or for worse. He had them in every single game that he coached. They only won one of them. They lost to the Citadel. Those are the downsides. But those guys, as he pointed out, Pro, until the very last second of the season, those guys were playing hard for him. It would have been very easy to lose your team than to have guys quit on you, quit on themselves, the locker room to get divided, for there to be on-the-field issues. He had control of that team, and he had them prepared to play every week.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about it is you could tell that the players knew that they had the feeling that they were playing for this guy to be the permanent coach, and they wanted to play for him. As I said before, and I hope people are listening, if this had been the 1960s, early 70s, before we had Twitter and the internet or whatever, everybody tries to win the press conference. I think he probably, had this been 30, 40 years ago, already been the coach of South Carolina, permanent.
Yeah, the loss to the Citadel, and that's a tough one to overcome. That's a very tough one to overcome. It would have made it a tough sell in any era. One thing about Sean Elliott, and we didn't get a chance to ask him this question, but would he stay on as an assistant coach at South Carolina? Now, he might have opportunities to be a head coach at a smaller school somewhere. FCS openings will come up here. There's a few open now.
I think probably has already had
maybe that's what he will go and do. But if he wants to be an assistant coach somewhere, it's hard to believe that there's any place that he'd rather be than South Carolina, just because of his love. And he's from Camden. He's got roots in the state of South Carolina, and he really genuinely is passionate about USC. I asked him Saturday at the post game how he wanted to be remembered at South Carolina, and he talked about his emotion, and he said he's the same guy whether he's a head coach or the position coach, and he kind of maybe you can interpret that as he would be the position coach, the offensive line coach, whoever ends up getting that job, because we don't think it's going to be Sean Elliott. Does he have a puncher's chance? Maybe, but I just don't see any feasible way that's going to happen. But that shouldn't diminish the job that he did. And I think most Gamecock fans, the reaction that we're seeing coming our direction, Pro, it's been very positive. I think Gamecock fans understand what he was a part of and what he inherited. And I don't think they would be upset if he stayed on the staff. Sean Elliott and G.A. Mangus, to me, are the two guys that people say, if you're going to keep a couple of guys, those might be pretty good guys to keep on that staff.
Yeah, I think so.
Jamie Chadwell coming up next. Our pleasure to welcome into Sports Talk now Charleston Southern head coach Jamie Chadwell as the Buccaneers get set for a second-round FCS playoff matchup against the Citadel Saturday afternoon at Buccaneer Field. Charleston Southern's first trip into the playoffs, first playoff game, and boy, it's a big one. Coach, you could argue this is the biggest college football game in the history of the Lowcountry. That's not hyperbole, is it?
I wouldn't think so. At least for the FCS level, for sure. They've had a lot of great high school games down here, but this one's being talked about, and we're looking forward to hosting it for sure.
I'd imagine you probably had one or two people hitting you up for tickets this week.
Yeah, everybody. And the NCAA is pretty ruthless on these tickets. There's no comp tickets for these playoff games, so they tell people they had to buy their own. So there's a lot of wanted tickets out there right now.
Well, you have the benefit of being the home team. You got the bye. And how did you spend that week off and that preparation?
Well, it was the main thing was good for us to just work on some fundamental things for our team. Obviously, we had to wait to see who we were going to play. And so we spent a lot of time on just some things that we need to get corrected, some recovery from our Alabama game, and then got a little bit of at least our prep work done for both teams, so we were ready when we started the game plan and everything. We were ready for who we were going to play. So it was a good, productive week. We gave them 3 days off there for Thanksgiving and allowed them to re-energize their batteries, and we've had a good week of preparation getting ready for Saturday.
Well, was that a blessing, having that week off after playing Bama? How did your team health-wise come out of that?
We didn't come out of the game too banged up, which was a positive. I think what took it out of us more than anything is, we got done down about 8 o'clock Eastern time. We didn't get back in town on Sunday till about, 4:30 a.m., somewhere around there, and then had to turn around for that selection show at 11. So a lot of tired guys. That was a long trip. And if we had to play that week, I think it would have been a tough turnaround. Just maybe not a physical beating from Alabama, just the mental and the afterwards. So it was good for that part of recovery.
Well, it's interesting. You play a Citadel team, and they'll run that option on you, but they can bust a big play out of that option at any time. The time of possession, how key is it for your team to win that stat in this football game?
I think it's very important. That's something that we try to do every game. We want to try to keep it as long as we can on our offense, similar to them. But if they have the ball up there in the 32-plus minute range, that's not good for us. That means they're on the field, they're grinding out first downs. That means we're not doing anything. So I think that's going to be a telling stat for sure. Whoever's leading time of possession will have the best chance to win. Now, you got turnovers and a lot of things in there as well. But if we can control the ball, keep them off the field, we like our chances.
Either way, this week you're going to play a team that you faced once, and there is that adage about beating a team twice. But what do you take away from that game back in September that you won at their place?
Well, I think one, you beat them, so you have confidence that if you'll prepare and do the things that you feel like you can do it again. They're obviously a much improved team, but I told our guys I feel like we're much improved. We know them, know what they like to do. They obviously know what we like to do, so there's not going to be a lot of secrets or that many new things. But I think going down there and winning on their turf gave us confidence that we can beat them again if we'll do the things capable of being at our place. We're pretty good at home, 14-2 over the last 3 years, so we feel comfortable there that we can take care of business.
With it being a playoff atmosphere, this is the biggest game in school history, obviously. Do you have to caution the players to not get too jacked, to not get too caught up in the moment?
I think that's very important what you said, and I think that's one of the advantages of they talked about having an advantage of the bye week. I think one of the advantages maybe still have is since they were in the playoffs, maybe they were too jacked or not, I don't know, but they've been through that first game. We haven't, all the crowd, and I think we've talked hard with our team about trying to make sure it's the next one. It's a big game. We don't try to say, oh, it's not a big game, but it is. But what's got us to this point will help us get through it, so we don't have to do anything extra special. Just let it flow, let the crowd do what they need to do. You just come out and play ball. So we've talked a lot about that, as just having that same mindset that we've always had, and even though it's a little bigger stage, but we're going to act like we've been there before.
When people talk about the Citadel, usually the first thing they mention is that offense that they run. But I remember watching them a few weeks ago in Columbia against South Carolina defensively, especially up front. I mean, there were several situations where the Gamecocks needed a yard or less, and they were stuffed by that defensive front of the Citadel.
Yeah, I think that's what, because their offense does a good job rushing the ball, I think they get overlooked on defense, and they do a phenomenal job. They have some good players. Their front seven is really good. Their Mitchell Jeter's their defensive tackle, and he was the Southern Conference Player of the Year, and he's hard to block. It takes two people. You have to know where he's at all the time, and if you don't do some different things to try to take advantage of him, they can get after you up front. So that's our big challenge is, can we stop their offense? I feel like we can slow them down, but we have to be able to move the ball, especially in short yardage. And the more tape you watch on them, the more you start scratching your head, because they're pretty good with what they do, and they're playing really hard and really confident.
Well, when you practice for this game, how difficult is it for your scout team to have repeat that, or I should say, conduct that speed of the option that they run? Have you been successful in doing that, do you think?
Well, one thing advantage-wise we have is we run a similar offense, at least as far as the plays, not from the same formation as a thing. So our defense sees that consistently, which is good. So it's not like it's a surprise, but you can't simulate their type of speed and the way they're linemen and the way they hit the things. We feel like our show team has done a good job to get us ready, but the speed of the game, that'll be the biggest adjustment for us, because no matter how much you practice it, you can't simulate the speed they have. And quickly we adjust to that, I think, will be the key to the game. If it takes us a drive or two, and those two drives they get 7 points or 10 or 14, that's not good. So we need to adjust to it quickly, hopefully, get them off the field, and then, let the game play out. But that's a hard challenge, and I think that's what people have problems with option teams is adjusting to it and never seeing it. At least, fortunately for us, we've seen it, twice this year.
Well, it's certainly a great game for your program, a great game for the Low Country, the city of Charleston, and the entire state. So we're really looking forward to seeing how it unfolds, Coach. Best of luck to you.
Guys, I appreciate it. It's a great one, and hopefully I'll be on next week. That means we win.
Absolutely. You've got a date. We appreciate it. Coach Jamie Chadwell, Charleston Southern Buccaneers taking on the Citadel Bulldogs there at Buccaneer Stadium, and the winner will move on to the next round, the third round of the FCS playoffs, and they will get the winner. Let's see, the winner of this matchup will take on we'll get the Jacksonville State Chattanooga winner next week.
Interesting. Jacksonville State Gamecocks, is it not?
They are the Gamecocks. Jack, that's a good team. Now, I watched them play Auburn earlier in the season.
Yeah.
And they took Auburn to overtime.
Should have
won the game. And it wasn't fluky. Sometimes you see teams get fluky. I mean, they were out. They had players that looked like they belonged on the field with Auburn. And that was really the first sign that Auburn wasn't as good as we thought they were going to be. But that's a very good Jacksonville State team. So good stuff there. It's a little disappointing that you have two FCS teams from the Palmetto State still alive in the playoffs, but it's going to be cut in half. You're guaranteed to have a team in the third round, but you'd rather not see these teams beating each other up, and that's the way they set it up. You had Coastal and the Citadel playing, so we were going to lose one there guaranteed, and now we'll lose another one guaranteed. But we will have at least one more team next week still playing football. Well, we will have two. We don't know where Clemson will be playing. They will either be going to the college football playoff, or they will be going to a New Year's Six Bowl. But we do know we will have two teams next week that we're still talking about playing football. And anytime you're in past the first week of December and you still have teams playing, that means they had a pretty good season, to say the least. Especially on the FCS ranks, you've had a very, very good season. The question is, will Clemson be in a playoff next week too? Will we have two playoff teams in the state next week?
It'll be interesting. I think for Clemson fans and for the players, if they want that pizza to taste good, they got to win that football game. Somehow the appetite is not as good if you've eaten crow the night before.
Yeah, the pizza party will be a little more subdued, certainly, if the Tigers don't beat North Carolina. We'll break this down a little bit more coming up on the other side. We also have our high school football preview coming up, the 2A Division I championship. But they got to protect the football. That's my biggest concern for Clemson. Those turnovers, they're going to bite them against a team like North Carolina. That's why North Carolina lost one game this year. They lost a turnover battle against the Gamecocks. They were the better team, lost a turnover battle.
Coach Hayes, 4 in a row.
All right, 2A Division I state championship tomorrow night, 7 o'clock at Benedict. Let's get the preview here from Corn Blue.
Coach Hayes, 4 in a row for you, going for 4 in a row, but you got to beat the team you beat last year. How tough is it to win that rematch?
Well, it's going to be a tremendous challenge. We're very fortunate. Last year we got some breaks in that game. A lot of people realize, and that we got to be on our P's and Q's and be prepared because they got an outstanding football team.
Yeah, Coach Strickland, you flash back to last year. What do you recall about the matchup with Dillon?
Well, they're a mighty fine football team, and I'm not saying that because Jackie's standing right. He knows that. And the bad thing about it, they got a lot of returning starters, so it's pretty close to the same football team. They may even be a whole lot better, but I think they're more balanced than they were, and they were balanced last year on offense, and their defense is just. I tell you, they run fit better than anybody I've ever seen. They've got the gaps cut.
But people think about your team, Jackie, about offense always, but Coach is talking about your defense. How good is your defense?
Our defense has been outstanding all year. I think we've given up probably about 80 points, and probably the offense gave up 30 of those. But, we've played real well there all year long. Those guys do a great job coaching those guys over there. And, we've had a rich tradition of playing good, strong defense at Dillon.
Mm-hmm. Coach Strickland, they've scored over 600 points this year, and I'm not even sure that he kept the pedal to the metal in a lot of games. What do you think of Avery McCall and what they do offensively?
Well, what's impressive about Avery is he doesn't do anything stupid, and Coach will tell you that. He's a heads-up player. He's a great player. He throws the ball well, and he certainly runs it well too. But he doesn't make any mistakes, And we've got a pretty good quarterback too. And every now and then he'll make a mistake or two, but I hadn't seen many from Avery.
Yafari Wirtz is his guy, Coach Hayes, and he's a very talented fellow, going to go to Georgia Southern. What are your concerns about him and trying to keep him contained?
Well, of course, he's really what makes him go. He's the X factor. He can take it 80 at any time. He's a playmaker. He looks like he loves playing the game of football. He's really improved since last year. I think he's gotten bigger and stronger, and his decision making's a lot better. And I think they asked him to do a little bit more than he did last year too. But he's a tremendous player, and you're not going to stop him. You just got to keep him from making big plays.
Mm-hmm. Phil, through the playoffs, you had to win some tough games. You beat Fairfield Central to get to this point. So you've been tested. You kind of been through the tough contest. How do you think that's helped you get ready for the championship matchup?
Well, we play a lot of good teams throughout the course of the year, and so do they. And our preseason schedule is tough too, and we like to play good people. But I tell our kids after the first round, there's no more weak sisters. All of them are going to be tough, and they have been, and especially this week coming.
Yeah, Jackie, do you think you guys have really been tested by anybody this year?
Oh, well, we get tested every week. It's about being prepared and going out and playing. We got a good group of guys on our football team. Their work ethic's just unbelievable. A lot of people say, well, they just have athletes at Dillon. That's not true. Those guys, it's amazing how some of them have developed over the years. But, when we've played some outstanding football teams too, a lot of teams that we played just, they lost last week.
Mm-hmm.
So, we try to prepare early just like they do at Newberry. And, we've just been very fortunate this year.
Your thoughts on Avery McCall as he plays his last game for you?
Well,
I don't want you to cry.
Well, I'm not going to cry, but he has had a phenomenal career. He's going to start in 4 state championship games. He's got an opportunity to win 4 state championship games. But the thing a lot of people don't understand about him, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Mm-hmm. He's not going to do something stupid. turn the ball over and put you in bad situations. But he's always had a pretty good supporting cast too, and those guys do a good job of coaching him and trying to put him in a good position to make good plays.
Mm-hmm. Phil, about your team, besides Jafari, what does Dylan have to be concerned about? Some of your other weapons offensively.
Well, you have to ask Jackie that. I don't know what he's concerned about, but we've got some other weapons. I think we're a little bit better at wideout this year than we were last year. We got some more go-to guys that it makes you think sometimes twice about getting all 10 in the box like some people try to do to us. So that helps us a little bit. It makes us a little bit more balanced. But we make no bones about it. We want to run the football.
Mm-hmm. Defensively, how are you guys against the run? Pretty stout.
I think we've played there pretty much all year, and Coach Strickland will tell you we're not going to change anything that we do. We're going to be a basic defense, play our normal schemes, and don't do a lot of stunting and blitzing and those type things. We're going to make you earn what you want to get, and that's always been our theory, and it's been good to us, and we'll stick to that on Friday. Guys, congratulations once again. It's going to be a heck of a ball game. Looking forward to it, and good luck on Friday night. Right, thanks a lot.
All right, good stuff there. The state championships crank up tomorrow night.
Now back to Sports Talk, South Carolina's most listened to sports talk show for more than 30 years.
We have been super busy tonight, jam-packed. If you missed anything, don't fret. You can go back and listen to it. Maybe you didn't miss anything. You want to go back and listen to it again. All of our interviews will be posted. Some are already posted on our website, sportstalksc.com. You can go and hear Sean Elliott, the USC interim head coach, who had a lot of great nuggets to draw along. You can check that interview out at the website. You can listen to Jamie Chadwell, Charleston Southern head coach, as they get set to take the Citadel on at Buccaneer Stadium this weekend. And what else did we have? Oh, the coordinators were very good too. Ellis Johnson and Chuck Reedy. That'll be posted on the website. Ellis Johnson, he got on this a few weeks ago, and he said he thought Clemson might be in a little bit of trouble against North Carolina. Backed away a little bit last week, but he's back on North Carolina again this week. And I was joking with Cornblood. I said, Ellis Johnson is officially settled into a role now as a media member, flip-flopping all over the place. That's what we love to do. So he's really he's probably getting a little scared that he's becoming such a good media member. He might want to get back onto the field as quickly as possible because it can be a little dangerous becoming a guy like us. But I think there are some legitimate reasons to be a little nervous. This is probably certainly not probably. This is certainly the most nerves Clemson will have felt since they played Florida State. They really haven't been genuinely tested. I'll say that. I mean, Syracuse pushed them. South Carolina pushed them. But this is a team that can not only push them, because Syracuse never had the ball with a chance to take the lead in the second half. Same with South Carolina. They never had the ball with a chance to tie or take the lead in the second half of that football game. Clemson got up big, got up a couple of touchdowns, and then just kind of petered around. That's what they did against Syracuse. North Carolina is one of those teams, if they start putting the ball on the ground, if they have a hard time stopping big plays and get gashed, they're going to be in for a fight.
Well, it's going to be interesting because both teams can play offense. They can score points. I think the key for Clemson is how effective can that defense be against probably the most well-rounded attack they've seen since Florida State, but maybe more effective than Notre Dame. And because Elijah Hood, if anything, some people would say he's underutilized at North Carolina in the passing game. And that's a key with those linebackers. If they get him on one of those Clemson linebackers, he could have a field day in the passing game. It'd be interesting. But on the other side of it, Clemson, with the safety out, as I said before, I think Leggett at tight end could have a big day for the Tiger.
Crowd ratio, 60-40 Clemson, 70-30 Clemson at Bank of America Stadium. The Tar Heels weren't filling up their own stadium. Are Tar Heel fans on the Tar Heel bandwagon yet?
Yes.
They should be. Yeah. Is the basketball team playing Saturday in the Dean Dome? Better check the schedule. Check the schedule. All right, that's going to do it. Corn back in studio. We'll have fresh Dabo Swinney, fresh Larry Fedora tomorrow because there is a press conference up in Charlotte. So we'll break it down for you further on a Feel Good Friday episode of Sports Talk. Thanks, Pro. Thanks, Pope. Thanks, Corn. We'll see you tomorrow night.